cameras were ready, the lights were warm, and yet a nervous tension hung in the air as Annie Shephard took her seat, her eyes already misted with emotion. Across from her, the host leaned forward gently, sensing that today was not the kind of interview anyone was prepared for. For months, viewers in this fictional world noticed Ben Shephard's absence from the screen. Some assumed a new project. Others thought it was time off. But Annie, usually private and composed, had requested this interview herself. She took a long breath before beginning. People think Ben is just stepping away, but there is more to the story. The host didn't interrupt. No one dared to. A secret struggle behind closed doors. Annie spoke slowly, choosing every word with care. Ben had always been the man who brightened any room, on camera, backstage, at home. If someone was struggling, he lifted them. If a guest was anxious, he calmed them. If morale dropped, Ben cracked a joke and restored it instantly. But behind the smile, a battle had been quietly building. He hid so much because he never wanted to be the one who needed help, Annie said, her voice trembling. It began subtly, a tightness in his chest, fatigue that sleep never chased away, moments of breathlessness disguised as laughter. Ben insisted he was fine. He told Annie he was just working too hard. But late at night, when the cameras were gone and the world slept, Annie saw the truth. He would sit at the edge of their bed, head and hands, breathing through pain he never admitted to anyone. I begged him to slow down, Annie continued, wiping a tear. But he was afraid that if he stepped away, he'd let everyone down. The night, everything changed. One evening, after a long filming day, Annie found him in the kitchen, leaning on the countertop, eyes closed, trying to stay upright. She rushed to him and he shook his head, trying to smile. "I'm just tired, love." But then he swayed, knees buckling, and she barely caught him before he hit the floor. That night, in the emergency room, reality hit both of them harder than they were ready for. Tests, scans, doctors speaking in quiet, serious tones. Annie sat in a plastic chair gripping Ben's hand while he tried to make jokes through gritted teeth. When the results came back, Ben grew silent. At last, he whispered, "I didn't want you to know how bad it was." Annie's tears flowed freely as she recalled that moment. Carrying the weight alone. The host leaned forward gently. "Why keep it secret for so long?" Annie looked up, eyes shining with grief and love, because Ben thought strength meant never showing weakness. She paused. But strength is letting the people who love you carry some of the weight. She revealed the nights spent watching over him, afraid he would stop breathing. The days she dragged him to appointments he insisted he didn't need. The fear that the man who inspired millions would disappear behind a curtain of silence. It was too much for one person to bear. The decision to speak out. A few weeks ago, Ben looked at her from his hospital bed, tired, vulnerable, hurting, but honest for the first time. He said, "If something happens to me, don't let people think I just walked away. Tell them I tried. Tell them I fought." Annie's hands shook as she retold those words. "This interview is me keeping that promise." The host swallowed hard, emotions visible even through the professional mask. A message for the viewers. Finally, Annie looked directly into the camera. If you've ever admired Ben, don't just remember the presenter who made you laugh. Remember the man who carried the show even when his body was begging him to rest. A tear rolled down her cheek. And please send him strength. He needs it now more than ever. The studio fell silent. Not because of scandal, not because of headlines, but because, for the first time, Annie had allowed the world to see Ben Shephard not as a television icon, but as a husband, a fighter, and a man facing a struggle no one ever knew existed.